안녕하세요, 여러분. Hello, everyone. I'm Sean Pablo. So, as many of you guys know, I do a lot of street interviews on this channel. I've been living in Korea for almost 8 years now and have been doing YouTube for around 7 years. Because of YouTube, I'm able to see the types of people that come into Seoul and hang around in the hot neighborhoods like Hongdae, Itaewon, Gangnam. Throughout the years, I've noticed that there are more and more women coming to visit Seoul. Going along with this, one of my channel hosts often says that it's really difficult to find men to interview on the streets, but it's always extremely easy to find foreign women to interview. So why does it feel like there are way more foreigners who are female in Seoul than ever before? Also, although I am in Seoul, I'm guessing that this is also true in other popular destinations in Korea like Busan and Jeju. Well, while researching this video, I found a certain type of tourism in Korea called Hallyu tourism. For those who don't know, Hallyu means the Korean wave. You can think of it like Korea's influence on the world in terms of media. That's like K-pop, Korean dramas, and movies. So Hallyu tourists in Korea are like the people who love K-pop, love the dramas, love the movies, and are coming here to see their favorite bands or to visit locations or enjoy other activities that are related to these things. According to this statistic, there are twice the amount of female Hallyu tourists than male Hallyu tourists. Also, I found some really interesting articles talking about the smaller section of Hallyu tourists who are women who are coming to Korea to find Korean men. This article claims that many foreign women think of Korean men as being handsome, safe, and more respectful than men from their own country. As another reference, here's what some foreign women I've interviewed on this channel have to say about Korean men.
What first comes to mind is that they are hard workers.
Really shy, kind of like innocent.
Romantic. They're very stylish.
They take care of their appearance.
Kind.
착하다? 그런 것 같아요. 네.
They're very kind.
Tall. And handsome. And K-pop. What I heard from Korean men is they are really sweet, loving.
They like to travel. They like to be the best at whichever hobby they take up.
I heard that they're romantic and they treat their girlfriends well.
착하고 멋있어요? 네.
If they really like you, they take care of you, and like they show you, I know, a lot of affection, I guess.
So it really does seem like K-pop has created a new style of masculinity that a lot of foreign women are really interested in. I think of the K-pop style for men as tall, skinny, very stylish, a man who takes care of his hair, maybe even does makeup, is very handsome, and also very kind and respectful. This is very different from the traditional style of masculinity we see in the West, which is like a tall, muscular man with a very sharp jaw. So it's really hard to measure a lot of this stuff with statistics, but we do have to think about, why is BTS so popular in the world? Why are other male K-pop groups also really popular in the world? Well, they dance really well, they can sing, they're very stylish, they're very clean, they're skinny, they're handsome. Also, I've heard from other women that it's very attractive to see men in a group. There's an old saying in English that women love men in uniform. Okay, so we have this new style of sexy guy that a lot of foreign women like. But one big danger of this is that a lot of foreign women, before coming to Korea, could be expecting that when they come here, that all the Korean men are just super stylish, handsome, tall, skinny, kind of like all the K-pop idols, right? In fact, some women have actually said that after coming to Korea.
한국에 오기 전에 원래 뭐 드라마 팬이었거든요.
많이 봤어요?
네, 엄청 많이. 드라마에서 보는 한국인들은 무조건 배우처럼 뭐 생기고.
잘생긴 줄 알았어요.
네. 그랬는데 뭐 역시 집이었구나. 일반적인 한국인과 드라마에서 보는 한국인은 완전 다르거든요.
네.
행동도 뭐 외모도 다 뭐 다르죠. 완전 다르죠. 이제는 괜찮은데.
여기 살아보니까 이제 약간 일반적인 사람 많은 걸 이제 알게 된 거죠.
네.
근데 뭐 잘생긴 사람도 있긴 하죠.
네, 물론이죠.
For me, I was really into like K-dramas. I really thought it would be more like coupley, more like fireworks, very lovey-dovey. And like I'm not disappointed. There's a lot of cute dating places, but I thought it would be more like open. I found out Koreans are very conservative. I guess that's just something that really surprised me when I came.
Now I want to give my own opinions on why there might be more foreign women coming to Korea. Also, these are just my observations and opinions. If you disagree with me, let's talk about it in the comment section down below. Well, to start, Korea is really safe and modern. It has a lot of the modern amenities that people from developed countries like the US, Singapore, Australia are used to, like transportation, hospitals, technology, Wi-Fi. And the fact that it's so much safer than other countries, like for example, I'm from the US and you kind of have to be careful when going out at night if you're alone. And you can't just leave your stuff on tables in cafes when you go to the bathroom. In Korea, it's much safer to do these things, so this is the perfect combination of things that would make Korea very attractive for young foreign women. Here's what some people I've interviewed have to say about safety in Korea.
Scotland and Seoul are kind of different. In Scotland, they have one of the highest knife crimes in the whole of Europe, like for stabbings. Like you gotta know which pocket you put your wallet in. In Seoul, I come here and I feel much more safe. I was never like looking over my shoulder back home, but at the same time, there's a sense of being more safe here.
As for my mother's case, when she visited Korea, so we went to a buffet and I told her you can just leave your bag at the seat, but she brought it even to the buffet, so that was kind of funny to see for me because I'm just used to the ways it is in Korea now.
Ah, interesting. So in Germany, what happens if you leave your bag on the table?
It will be stolen.
So one thing that I really agree about the article that I mentioned earlier is that it talks about things like Squid Game, Parasite, BTS as things that are really making Korea more of a household name. People are really starting to talk about Korea, and more than ever before, when you say Korea, you say the country, Korea, people can list many things that come to mind, you know, K-pop, movies, dramas, even esports, technology, celebrities. For a long time, many Westerners have known about Japan and China, but only recently has Korea become as popular to talk about as Japan and China. So I just talked about all the reasons as to why Korea might be attracting more foreign women. But on the flip side, in terms of foreigner residents in Korea, people who are actually living here, men still outnumber women. And that has been the case for years now, maybe 10 to 15 years. You might think that this is very obvious. I mean, think about the American military here in South Korea. There are so many male soldiers that have to be here. Of course there are more men than women, but this is actually not what we should be looking at. I want you guys to guess though, where are most foreigners here in South Korea from? What are the top 3 countries in your opinion? I'll tell you right now, it's China, it's Vietnam, and Thailand. There are around 2 million foreigners currently living in South Korea, and only 146,000 of them are American. That's less than 10% of the foreigner population in Korea. It might not seem like that because Americans stick out. It's easier to spot them in the streets than it is to spot Chinese, Thai, and Vietnamese people. And I don't really know all the reasons as to why there are more Chinese, Thai, and Vietnamese males in South Korea than females. Also, I don't really go to the countryside as often as I used to, so I'm not able to see, these smaller cities around Korea that might have more people from these 3 countries. And maybe that's a topic for another video. What is bringing all of these people here? However, as Corona continues to be less and less of a problem, I believe Hallyu tourism will continue to increase, and big tourist destinations like Seoul, Busan, and Jeju will continue to see more female tourists. Anyway, that's all I have to share for this topic. What do you guys think about this topic? Did you enjoy this video? If so, please let me know down in the comments section. Also, if you're currently studying English, I highly recommend you join my channel membership. Alright everybody, once again, I'm Sean and I will see you in the next video. Bye. 안녕하세요 여러분. Hey guys, I'm Sean Pablo. In this video, I'm going to share with you 12 great small talk questions that you can use in many different situations when you move or travel to the US or other English-speaking countries. But what is small talk? Small talk is unimportant conversation about uncontroversial matters. In the US, small talk is a big part of the culture. When you go to networking events or parties or weddings or some other kind of social gathering, you usually small talk with people. It's a great way to break the ice between someone you don't know very well or someone you don't know at all. And there are so many benefits to being good at small talk. You can make new friends, you can get business opportunities, and you can just learn new information. Let me show you an example of small talk. Hey, I'm Sean. Hey Sean, I'm Bob. So who do you know here? I know John and Dave. Oh, no way! Dave and I play Pokemon cards together twice a month. This might be a good question to ask if you're at a party or somewhere where someone invited you. Everyone at the party is friends of the host. You can ask, who do you know here? While this is a great question to ask, in this video I want to focus more on questions that you can ask in all situations, particularly ones where no one knows anyone, like a networking event, or a concert, or a bar, or some kind of convention. You don't want to be that shy person in the corner who's afraid to talk to everyone and who is just waiting their turn to be asked a question from someone. Learning these 12 questions will give you the confidence to start more interesting conversations that will definitely lead to better outcomes. So I'm sure everyone knows these simple questions. What's your name? Where are you from? How old are you? Although these questions might be important, like you should definitely ask the person's name, don't make these 3 questions the first thing you ask people, especially the one about age. In the West, we don't really care about age, so don't ask that one. Alright, before I go any further in this video, I want to say that this video is sponsored by Class 101. I recently did a 25 lesson course on Class 101, and in that course I teach real English combined with cultural things you should know about the US and Western countries. You can watch one lesson for free by clicking the link down below. Okay, so now I'm going to share with you the 12 great questions you can ask when small talking. So the 12 questions are broken down into 4 different categories: work, travel, leisure, and food. Usually when first talking to someone, you want to avoid questions about religion, politics, or other sensitive topics that some people might be offended by. So stick to the 4 things: leisure, work, travel, and food. Let's start off with work. Let's look at the first question you can ask. Hi, I'm Dan. Hi, I'm Ben. Nice to meet you, Ben. So, what do you do for a living? I work in the animation field as an animator and a producer. Wow, that's really interesting. After asking this question, another great follow-up question you could ask is this. So what do you like and dislike most about your job? Well, I love seeing my animations come to life, but being in the same position for hours really makes my back hurt. I can imagine it would. That reminds me of... So of course you have to ask, what do you do? What do you do for a living? But after that, go a little bit deeper. If you want to have a good conversation, you have to ask good questions. Here's another interesting question you can ask about work. Do you want to stay at your current job, or are you working towards something else? I think I'm going to continue to do animation for a few years, but in the future I would love to learn how to code. Oh really? I'm actually a programmer. So that's 3 work-related questions. The goal of all this is for the conversation to lead to something that you're very passionate about talking about. When you're passionate about something, it's very easy to talk about it, and the conversation just flows. Let's listen to these 3 questions one more time for some more practice. So, what do you do for a living? So what do you like and dislike most about your job? Do you want to stay at your current job or are you working towards something else? Now let's move on to leisure. Leisure is a great topic for small talk because it's light and it's fun, it's positive. Let's look at the first question you can ask about leisure. So, what do you usually do in your free time? I love ice skating, but since it's summer now, I've been rollerblading a lot. Oh, that's really interesting. Do you ever rollerblade as a means of transportation? Well, I tried rollerblading to work once, but what do you do in your free time? This is very simple, but fun to answer. Let's look at another question you can ask. So what do you do to relieve stress? I usually work out or play guitar. Those two things really help me to relax after a stressful week. Oh, I also play guitar. What kind of music do you like? So asking someone, what do you do to relieve stress, is kind of similar to asking, what do you do in your free time? But they're a little bit different. You might get a very different answer. The last thing you could ask could be for a recommendation. People love giving their opinion on something, so let them share their opinion by asking this. Can you recommend me something fun to do this weekend around here? Sure, if you like beaches, I highly recommend Crystal Beach. It's really close to here and it's great for surfing. Oh, I've heard of Crystal Beach. Is it usually crowded on the weekend? Let's listen to these questions one more time for some more practice. So, what do you usually do in your free time? So, what do you do to relieve stress? Can you recommend me something fun to do this weekend around here? The next thing we can talk about is travel. Most people love to travel and have plans or wishes to travel in the future. And if for some reason they don't like to travel, well, you can talk about that. You can ask them why they don't like to travel. Here's the first question you can ask. Do you have any exciting summer plans? I'm planning to travel to Italy. Oh really? I actually studied abroad in Italy. Oh no way! What city were you in? This is a simple question you can ask that often leads to conversations about travel. Here's another thing you can ask. So where's the last place that you traveled to? I went to Barcelona last year. It was a lot different than I expected. What were you expecting? So asking about recent travel experiences can be a lot of fun to talk about, and you can trade stories. Let's look at the third thing you can ask about travel. What's the best hidden gem around here? That's a great question. I really like John's Taco Shack on Main Street. Not a lot of people know about it. It has great cocktails and good food too. Sounds awesome. How's the guacamole? So a hidden gem is a place that has a lot of value that not a lot of people know about. You can ask this about the current city or location you're in now, or about a certain place they went to that they talked about, or anywhere. Especially if you're new to this city or you're just traveling here, this is a great question to ask. Let's listen to the 3 questions one more time for some more practice. Do you have any exciting summer plans? So where's the last place that you traveled to? What's the best hidden gem around here? Lastly, we can talk about food. Everyone likes to talk about food, except for zombies. They like to eat people. But you're not a zombie, right? So here is the first small talk question you can ask about food when you're at social gatherings. Can you recommend any good places to eat around here? Sure, there's a really good burger place just 5 minutes from here. Oh wow, I love burgers. What's the name of the burger place? Like I said before, when in doubt, always ask for a recommendation. People love giving their opinions. Here's another question you can ask. If you could only eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be? Oof, that's a tough question. I think it would have to be pizza. How about you? This question is a lot more interesting than just asking, what's your favorite food, right? Let's look at the third question you can ask. What's your favorite food to eat when drinking alcohol? I love eating chicken wings when I drink beer. Speaking of which, do you want to get some chicken wings right now? Sure, let's go. Talking about the best combination of food and alcohol is always a fun conversation. Let's listen to the 3 questions one more time for some more practice. Can you recommend any good places to eat around here? If you could only eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be? What's your favorite food to eat when drinking alcohol? So becoming comfortable with small talk when in English-speaking countries will benefit you immensely. Strangers have to talk about something before they become friends, right? And in many cases, you're not going to have a friend to introduce you to new people. It's much more common, especially in business settings, to go up and just start talking to new people. Like I said before, there are many benefits to this. You can meet new friends, you can make really good business contacts and get good business opportunities, and you can just learn new things. I have a few friends who have gotten really good jobs by meeting new people at networking events and small talking with them. There's no reason why you guys watching can't do the same thing. Alright guys, that's all I have for this video. Definitely watch it a few times if you want some more practice. Alright everyone, once again, I'm Sean, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. Hey guys, how's it going? It's Sean. In this video, I want to give you my observations of American police in the United States versus police here in South Korea. So I've been living in South Korea for almost 8 years now. I'm just going off of my experiences, what I've heard from foreign friends and Korean friends, and my general knowledge of Korean laws and Korean history. It's very possible that I make a mistake in what I'm saying, so if I do, let me know down in the comments and we can talk about it. So in my observation, Korean police seem to be very non-violent. They seem to be more friendly, and they're definitely not intimidating. I don't really feel nervous when I see a police car or when I see police on the street. Unless I'm driving, then I want to be super careful, of course, because I don't want to get a ticket, you know? But in general, they seem to be a part of the community, and people aren't really nervous about calling them or talking to them. I will say too that it seems like they don't have a lot of power. I've heard many stories from both Koreans and foreign friends of mine that in Korea, if someone does something bad, they're easily let off with a warning or a small fine. Also, I've often heard of Korean police saying something like, "Oh, let's try to understand their situation. They were drunk, they were tired, they were angry, they were stressed because of a recent divorce." So it seems like Korean police often have this mentality of trying to understand and diffuse a situation peacefully. Maybe this is more of Korean culture though. I remember one time I was in Itaewon and I was outside of a club and I saw this drunk guy just punch a security guard. The security guard was holding his nose like this, and the drunk guy was just super angry, just throwing his arms around, and the security guy did nothing. He just told him to calm down and to go away. This blew my mind. If that had happened in the US and someone punched a security guard, that person would be on the ground and the security guards would be beating him or her up. It was really crazy to see that the security guard did nothing. Another example I have in Korean culture of trying to understand the other person's position if they do something wrong is when I was in Itaewon filming, again Itaewon, and this homeless person came by and they knocked my camera over. And I was really angry. I guess they thought that I was filming them, which I wasn't. And I really wanted to call the police. I wanted this person to be punished. This is an expensive piece of equipment I have, you know? And the Korean friend I was with, who was helping me film, said, "Don't call the police. This person already has enough problems. Let's just try to be understanding." And I was really frustrated. I really wanted to punish this person because you can't just do that to other people's stuff, you know? Maybe that's the American inside of me. I want justice, you know? A while back, I was really interested about this culture and how the police in Korea and the authorities in Korea seem to be very forgiving and weak. I'm not saying that they're weak people, I'm just saying that they're not strong in their punishment and their justice. I want to make that distinction because I actually have two friends here in Korea. They're Koreans and they're police officers. So I don't think that they're weak. I just think they don't have a lot of power in the system. So a while back when I was really interested in this topic, I learned about Korean history and Jeon Do-hwan and his military dictatorship. I learned that there was a lot of violence in Gwangju particularly, and it's a very sad part of Korean history where the police were too powerful and they were violent and they used their guns to solve problems. So because of that, it seems like a lot of Koreans are hesitant to give the police too much power. And that makes a lot of sense. I mean, just look at North Korea. If you give one group of people too much power, look what happens. In North Korea, they literally kill people who disagree with them or break the law, even if it's a small law, you know? So of course, I'm in general a fan of this kind of decentralization of power. Just look at my Bitcoin t-shirt. Of course, I'm a fan of decentralization. I know I'm summarizing this really complicated history very simply in a few sentences. I know that. But anyway, because of this culture, it definitely feels like bad people in Korea can sometimes do things without getting punished too harshly. Especially as a foreigner, if someone did something bad to me, I might be kind of hesitant to call the police because I'm not sure how much they could do for me. Also, if someone like punches me or is violent towards me, I would be really hesitant to defend myself because I've heard stories of people being punished for defending themselves physically here in Korea. But it's not just foreigners in Korea. I think a lot of Koreans feel the same way. A lot of Koreans think that the police don't have enough power, they're too weak, or they just don't do enough to punish bad people who commit crimes. And I guess that's where the 검수완박 movement comes from here in Korea. So the new president of South Korea thinks that the 검찰, or the Supreme Court in Korea, should hold more power than the 경찰, or the police. A lot of Koreans are really frustrated and want the police to have more power. I can't get too deep into the 검수완박 situation because I'm not an expert, I just know the basics. But the point is, a lot of South Koreans are split on this issue as well. So now I want to talk about the American police. So in the United States, the police are quite intimidating. I definitely get nervous when they're around, when I see a cop car, or when I see cops walking by. Even if I haven't done anything wrong, they're still very intimidating. I feel like I'm being judged or something. So they're definitely scary to both criminals and many citizens. There's a culture in America of never talk to the police, even if you haven't done anything wrong. There's nothing good that can come out of it. Police in the United States have all sorts of guns, small guns, big guns, gadgets on their belt. They have all sorts of fancy cars and whatnot. I will say though that the police in the United States have a very hard job, especially in big cities. Also, it must be very frustrating for them to have this intimidating and scary reputation, even to the people who they're trying to protect. But I understand the frustration of citizens, and I understand why they think that they're scary. So going along with this, there have been a lot of protests in the United States against the police. Many people think that they have too much power, that they use their guns too much, that they are corrupt. I won't give my opinion on these specific protests, but suffice to say, many people in the US want police to have less power. So that's kind of interesting, right? In Korea, a lot of Koreans want the police to have more power. In the US, a lot of people want the police to have less power. I don't know what the perfect formula is. I don't know the exact amount of power the police should have in any country. I'm all about empowering citizens to protect themselves, to defend themselves, you know, just to not rely too much on the government for protection. Maybe that's one of the positives of Korean men going to the military for 2 years. You know, you teach someone hand-to-hand combat, you teach them how to use weapons, you teach them discipline. I think that's a really good thing to have more powerful and disciplined citizens. Again, I'm very weary of relying too much on the government for anything, really. Anyway though, as an American, I will say that it is very satisfying to know that if someone does something wrong or there's a criminal, there's a good chance that they're going to get punished. When everything works out well, there's a real sense of justice. Anyway, that's all I have to say for this video. This is an extremely complicated situation, but I just wanted to share some of my thoughts. What do you guys think? Please let me know in the comments down below. Also, if you're currently studying English, I highly recommend you join my channel membership. Anyway, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye. Hey guys, how's it going? It's Sean. So in this video, I'm comparing the foreigner experience in Seoul versus the countryside of Korea. And if you're currently studying English, I highly recommend you join my channel membership. I've been wanting to make this video for a while now. As many of you might know, I actually used to live in Chungju, a really small city which was close to a lot of like nature, and you could consider it to be like the countryside. I lived there for 1 year. So in this video, I collaborated with Leah Moro, who is also a foreigner living in Jeollado and does amazing tour guide videos.
여러분 안녕하세요. Hi everyone, my name is Leah Moro. I'm living in Suncheon. It's a small city located in Jeollabuk-do province in the south part of Korea. I'm actually a 공무원, which is a civil servant here in Korea, and I'm in charge of the tourism promotion, and I work as a tour guide. So I'm really happy to be part of this video. Let's go!
So one thing that I love about living in Seoul is it's so dang convenient. You've got kickboards, bikes you can rent, buses, taxis, the subway. You've got convenience stores, all types of restaurants, PC bangs. You're seriously never bored if you're living in Seoul. I actually remember when I was living in Chungju, which was a really small city, I would pretty much go to Seoul every weekend to, you know, meet people, go to meetups, go to language exchanges, go to different stores that I couldn't get to in Chungju. Seoul really is like the center of modern Korea, and all the new cutting-edge technology is here.
What I like about living in the countryside more than being in the city. Most people living in the city, you know, they're busy, they're hustling, you know, they're working hard and earning a lot of money, but it's pretty hard for you to meet people, just get a chit chat and just make new friends. While in the countryside, actually, it's pretty easy. You know, I live in actually the gochujang traditional Hanok village, so I can see a lot of like 할머니, 할아버지s and like grandmother and grandmas, and it's really easy, you know, to have a chat with them. They're really not in a hurry, and they're always happy to talk to foreigners because we don't have a lot of foreigners in Suncheon. So it's just really nice to talk to locals, and I actually realized that I have way more friends which are Korean than foreigners. And I've been living in Suncheon for almost 3 years now, but yeah, that's like the connection with people. It's really different from what I could experience in being in a Korean city.
Living in Seoul is really good for younger people, maybe in their early to mid 20s, but I could definitely see how once you get into your late 20s, 30s, 40s, and you're starting a family, you might want to go somewhere more quiet and more relaxed. And so if I had to say one thing that I don't like about living in Seoul is that there's always so much noise. All the time you're hearing these, you know, delivery bikes go by. And especially if you're trying to sleep or relax, or you're in a cafe, or you're trying to film something, it's really not the best.
So I will be honest, being in the countryside, sometimes the transportation is not an option. Basically, you need to have a car or you need to have your scooter because it's really hard to find like a good transportation system. Korea is getting better at it, but it's still a big issue for me. Sometimes there is only 2 or 3 buses a day. For example, for me from Suncheon to go to Seoul, I only have 4 buses a day, and the last bus is at 3:30 p.m. So, you know, if I finish work at 6 p.m. then it's impossible for me to go to Seoul in the evening. So I just have my scooter and I like it a lot, but yeah, that's something that is a little bit tricky, especially if you want to move to other cities. Another thing is personally I miss actually living in the countryside. You sometimes don't have a lot of like museum, you don't have a lot of like events, or it can be difficult to go to the like, you know, cinema or just hang out and have some concerts. So in that matter, I really prefer like the living in the city because you have way more like cultural events and like fashion events, and you know, I love to travel, so I love travel meetings and stuff, and it's pretty hard to find it in the countryside.
I think one misconception about Seoul and living in a big city like Seoul is that there's not a lot of nature and that there's just a ton of buildings and restaurants and houses and just development. But as you can see, I'm currently in Yeonteul Park, which is kind of like Central Park, but in Yeonnam-dong. And there's a really nice park here that I walk in all the time There's also a ton of mountains in Seoul, like Bukhansan and Namsan and Achasan. So for someone like me who needs to be around nature, Seoul is actually a lot better than most people would think. Of course, it might be hard to compare to living in the countryside where you're literally surrounded by nature all the time, but it's really not bad. Lots of people walk their dogs here, people go on picnics here. Of course, there's the Han River. So yeah, I think this is a popular misconception about living in Seoul that I want to dispel.
So actually many people, they will think, oh, what do you have to do in the countryside? Life must be so boring. Especially for me in Suncheon or in Gwangju city, not far from Suncheon, we have so many like museum, we have a lot of festivals. So you know, if you like the nature, if you like hiking, we have a lot of national park. It's more quiet, it's more calm, it's less stressful, and it's just really nice. But you also have friends, you also have restaurants and coffee shop. If you live in Jeolla province, you have a lot of like beach and like seaside coastline. So if you enjoy the nature and wildlife, you can go camping also. So I really like it. I never get bored here.
In terms of loneliness, I'm definitely not lonely here. I have tons of friends who live in Seoul. Seoul's population density is so high that there are just people living close, like in Itaewon, Gangnam, Hongdae area. There's always new friends to meet, Koreans and foreigners. So definitely not lonely, but I can say that I got lonely at many times when I was living in Chungju, especially since I didn't speak Korean. But I guess on the flip side, that loneliness forced me to practice Korean. But I can see how if you've only ever lived in Seoul, you might not be motivated to speak as much Korean or learn it. So that could definitely be a bad thing in the end.
Even if I live in the countryside, sometimes it's hard to meet and connect with people. And the thing is, I have like a different timetable than most people. You know, most people will work Monday to Friday and take the weekend off. I cannot do that because I'm a tour guide. So usually my days off are on Wednesday, Thursday, or on weekdays, and people are working during this time. So it's hard for me to meet my friends. It's hard for me because I cannot go to certain events. I cannot go to like the weddings or to parties because people go to meet on Friday night or Saturday or Sunday, and I work all the time on the weekend. Yes. So yeah, I do feel lonely, but I don't think it's because I live in the countryside. I think it's more about my schedule and my work life, which doesn't really allow me to be having the same days off than most people.
In terms of air quality, Seoul doesn't really have the best air quality. I'm sure living in the countryside has much better air quality than Seoul, although I would guess though that just Korea in general suffers a lot from its neighbors, including China, and also factories within the country and pollution, the population density. It's all not really helping the air quality. It's kind of something you have to get used to while living here.
Well, for me, I actually love the fresh air. Like here we don't have like micro dust issues. Actually, Suncheon has a really nice air quality. So you know, when I go to the city, usually it's really hard for me to breathe. And if I go to Seoul, as soon as I get off the bus, I can feel it. And it's like really terrible smell actually for me. So especially the smell in the countryside is awesome. You know, you can take a big breath and you're like, oh yeah, this feels so good.
So in my opinion, in terms of what represents Korea more between Seoul and the countryside, I think Seoul represents modern Korea, but I don't think it represents traditional Korea as well as somewhere like Jeonju or Chungcheongdo. If I were to take a family member on a tour of Korea, how many days in Seoul versus other parts of Korea would I spend with them? And I guess if they were here for 1 week, I would spend 3 days in Seoul, maybe 2 days in Jeju, and the rest of the time kind of going around the country, visiting small cities and small areas, maybe like mountains or nature, this kind of thing. I feel like this percentage of time spent would maybe give them a good idea of Korea.
I personally think that the countrysides represent better Korea. The reason why is because Seoul is the big city, you know, it's the capital city, people are working and stuff, but if you want to discover the real side of Korea, then it starts by the countryside. Seoul and Korea in general has been made after the Korean War, and it's only 50-60 years old. But if you want to see the real essence of Korean culture, you have to go to the countryside. You have to meet the local farmers, visit the small villages, and understand where Koreans come from. Because this way you will realize how amazing they've been building the countries and how fast it was. But the older generation, people who were like my grandparents' age, they still live in, I would say, the old Korean style. And you know, you can see the like Korean traditional houses, people sleeping on the ondol. You can also experience the Jong culture, which you really care about each other. They will always ask you, did you eat and stuff, and they will also show you like the Korean traditional cooking and recipes. And I think this is part of Korea you can only see in the countryside.
So as I mentioned, I used to live in Chungju, and some of the things that I miss about living in a really small city like that is just this space you have and the quiet, the space you have to think and relax and decompress. If you're stressed about something, you can take a walk, and usually there's like 1 or 2 people in the street. There's very few cars compared to Seoul. Another thing is that there are a ton of chains here in Seoul. I know it's really convenient to always have like a Starbucks or a CU or a 7-Eleven or some other kind of chain like that you can go to for your needs, but I really like going to the countryside and going to like this old grandmother's like homemade doenjang jjigae kind of like restaurant. That's awesome. I know those places exist too in Seoul, but there's just like a cool vibe to go into that kind of place in the countryside. You know what I mean? Especially when you're traveling.
And last question is, what is the first thing you do when you go to Seoul or any other big city? I will say the food. Because even though I live in Korea, I love Korean food, and you know, I'm getting really used to it. I miss foreign food sometimes. I miss Italian restaurant, French restaurant, just a really great burger. And living in the countryside, in the gochujang village, I eat a lot of jjigae, so kimchi jjigae, doenjang jjigae, like you have like sundubu jjigae, all this jjigae, but I'm getting kind of tired of it sometimes. So every time I go to Gwangju, Jeonju or Seoul, I just go to an international restaurant where I can find some foreign food. And the second thing I do is meeting my friends, obviously, because I just love meeting people and I'm just always happy to meet them. So for me, 2 things: food and people. Yeah, that's what I do when I go to the big cities. If you guys want to discover more about the Jeolla province and Korean countryside, then you can follow my channel as well. Thank you so much and have a beautiful day, guys. Bye bye.
Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. Once again, I'm Sean. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I will see you next time. Bye. Hey guys, how's it going? It's Sean. So in South Korea right now, a really fun debate that's going around is the 깻잎 논쟁. So when you go to Korean restaurants, there is a side dish called 깻잎. Often it is in sweet peppery sauce and pretty difficult to separate. The leaves kind of stick together. So naturally, if you're with friends, they often help you separate the different leaves so you can just eat one at a time. The question is though, if a man has a girlfriend or a wife, is it okay if another woman helps him to separate his 깻잎 in a restaurant? What do you guys think? In this video, we want to find the truth. What's the right thing to do? So we asked several people from all around the world what they think of this debate. Also, if you're currently studying English, I highly recommend you join my channel membership. Alright everyone, let the debate begin.
Okay, hey guys, my name is Sean and we're out here in the streets of Hongdae interviewing foreigners. And so, while you've been living here in Korea, have you gotten accustomed with the dating culture?
I did, yeah.
Oh, so you've dated a Korean guy before, right?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How was that?
If you got a good one, it's good, but like it's interesting. It's different than the culture back home, so.
Not really, but I learned about it a lot because my major is Korean studies.
Okay, how about you?
I also learned about it before coming to Korea.
Yeah, if you want to
to live in Korea. I think he must date a Korean guy.
Killing Korean, that's it's necessary.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you've heard of it before, but are you familiar with this photo?
Yeah, the leaves.
Yes, the leaves. Comes out as a side dish in some restaurants.
Yeah, it's a side dish, yeah.
Looks like sesame leaves or something like that.
Yeah, a side dish that comes out in Korean, so like kimchi.
Yeah.
What is it?
But I don't know the name, but actually I like it with the kalbi.
Oh, with kalbi.
Yeah.
Eating with kalbi, okay.
I think I've seen it, but I haven't tried it yet.
Yes, have you guys eaten this before?
Yeah, I think we did, yeah.
Alright, when eating in a restaurant, some Koreans think it's rude for a guy to help a girl separate them if he already has a girlfriend. What do you guys think about this?
It's a way to help people, you know?
You're just helping them eat?
Yes, like he must give me and then that's fine.
He has to give you first and then he helps the girl.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say it's no problem.
It's no problem?
It's completely normal to help someone if they are struggling.
I don't think it's disrespectful.
Yeah, this is just like a friendly move.
Personally, I don't think it really matters.
You know, it's not a big deal. It's just food.
The first time I'm hearing actually that this is a thing that people would have trouble separating the leaves from sesame, and somebody else would come along and help them.
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe it would be weird.
Yeah.
Just depends on how long you've known the person you're helping out. I suppose.
I think I understand where it comes from. Koreans are very different than, for example, the guys back home. I feel like Koreans are very in dating. They're very what's theirs is theirs. You know, they're like very private, like very
possessive kind of.
Yeah, a bit.
There's nothing romantic about separating.
Separating a leaf. Alright.
I think it's a bit different for us because in our culture you don't really everybody eats their own food, you don't really share stuff, so we're not really used to people giving you food and stuff like this. But I don't really think it's rude. I don't know. I think it's kind of nice.
I don't think it's that rude.
Really?
If she's having a hard time, I think it's okay. If you do it automatically, I think it can be rude to your girlfriend. But if she's really struggling, I think it could be just a kind gesture, and I would just appreciate it.
You guys have not dated any Korean guys, I assume, right? No? Not at all? Has there ever been a time when you're dating with your boyfriend that you've had you've gotten a bit jealous over something that another girl has done?
I mean, yeah, obviously you get jealous, but I wouldn't get jealous over something like that.
Do you guys get jealous often when you're dating someone?
No.
No? Not at all?
No.
Really?
Maybe a bit, but not that much. Yeah, I try to trust them.
Yeah.
What type of things do you get jealous over?
I think if my boyfriend is way too close to the girl, or talking maybe inappropriately, flirting, or this kind of stuff.
So some people actually think that's kind of like flirting with the girl in Korea.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, not for me actually, but I'm not Korean, so.
What is the line? What is the line that you draw in terms of helping a girl that's not your girlfriend?
Maybe stuff like tying your shoes. A random girl is in the street and she's like,
She's waving her foot around.
Yeah, but why would he stop?
Yeah, exactly. That's the line.
I mean, if they are kind of too touchy or something.
Oh, okay. Maybe if a girl comes, tries to flirt with him.
Yeah.
I think the same, but I didn't really have many of those situations though.
What should a guy not do when he has a girlfriend to another girl?
Well, personally, I'm very easy. I don't really care. I have a lot of guy friends, so I can't expect the guy not to have any girlfriend.
You don't get jealous, really?
No, I don't. If we're dating, I know you like me, you love me, so helping out with another friend or being around other girls should not be an issue. That's about trust, in my opinion.
Where's the line in helping someone?
I think getting into too much physical touch. I think.
Physical contact?
Yeah.
Oh, let me help you separate that leaf, right?
Yeah, I don't know. For me, maybe too much physical contact. I don't know. Yeah.
The line drawing moment would be about too much touch.
Yeah.
More of intimate touch.
I think it depends on the intention. If you're just helping somebody out because you want to be nice or somebody's in trouble, I would always want my boyfriend to help them out. Girls passing out on the street, I would always want him to help him. But if he has bad intentions, or it's oh yeah, if I do her a favor, she will maybe text me or something, even though I have a girlfriend, that would be where I draw the line.
If they look at other girls and are thinking she's cute or maybe, but he has a girlfriend, then no.
Some other things that I've heard from some other Europeans friends is that she kisses, you know, with another girl. Do you have problems with that?
If it's part of the culture, it's fine. Yeah,
Really?
part of the culture.
Yeah.
Like if you say hello.
When I get jealous, usually it's because they lie. If my boyfriend lies to me and I discover it, I get like, I don't know, if he lies about like going somewhere he didn't tell me.
Oh.
And like if for example he met a girl, even if I know this girl, I would be extremely jealous.
Like, what are some examples of kind gestures that a guy who has a girlfriend should never do to a girl?
If he touches her hair,
Touches her hair.
I hate it. Like just like this. I just think it's really like intimate with your boyfriend or girlfriend. And if my boyfriend touches another girl's hair, we hate it.
Oh, okay.
I suppose it differs from person to person. I guess you just like set boundaries with the other person, or with the person you're dating. So it's really no way to like approach it from a general perspective.
Has the Korean person that you've dated before, or maybe now, have they ever gotten jealous?
Yeah, because like I said, I have a lot of like guy friends, and like a lot of my friends back home are guys as well. He got very like, you know, like kind of possessive, like jealous, but for no needs, you know.
Do you think they get jealous sometimes?
Yeah.
Over what? What's one of the things that they got jealous over?
Nothing. Everything.
Nothing? Everything?
Yeah,
For example, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Well, I have a boyfriend, so I'm gonna talk for him. If I go out in a pub, club, bar, he's not gonna get mad, but he's gonna be like, yeah, but there's gonna be other guys looking at you. But this is not my fault. I mean, I think most guys here, they're jealous, but because of other guys, not because they don't trust their girlfriend, but because they don't trust the man.
It's more jealousy rather than trust, you're trying to say.
But the thing is that they complain to you and are like, oh, you shouldn't go out. But if you trust me, then why?
Yeah, exactly.
But
they don't get very jealous in France.
I think it depends on the person, you know, but I mean, like, you need to be jealous for a reason.
So when you're dating someone, how would you rate your jealousy on a level from 1 to 10?
I would say around 6 or 7.
6 or 7? Okay, that's a pretty...
I think it's normal, at least for a girl, because usually girls are get more jealous, like more easily than boys.
Better than no jealousy, you know?
Exactly.
All right, thank you for coming out today, and I hope you have a wonderful time here in Korea.
Thank you.
Give me a thumbs up. And we'll get you on.
Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Did you enjoy this video? If so, let me know in the comments down below. Once again, my name is Sean, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. 안녕하세요, 여러분. Hey guys, I'm Sean Pablo. So a common question that I often get from my subscribers and from students of mine is, what's the difference between will and going to? I mean, they're both used to talk about the future tense, right? In some cases, it doesn't matter. You can use either one of them. They're interchangeable. But there are many situations when it's better to use will, and there are situations when it's better to use going to. By the end of this video, you will know when to use will and when to use going to perfectly. Let's start this video out with a dialogue that has both will and going to in it. Hey John, I found a great way to make money. Okay, great. Let me hear it. Robbing banks. I just robbed a bank an hour ago and I'm going to do it again tomorrow. Want to help me? I don't know. If we get caught, we'll go to jail. We're not going to get caught. All right, here's the plan. So you go outside of the bank, out front, and you start dancing like a crazy person. While you're doing that, I go in the back where the employees are and I take the money and then we both run away. Perfect, right? I don't think I can help you. My girlfriend said if I do anything stupid again, she'll leave me. Oh really? All right, I understand. But please, don't tell anybody about my plan. Don't worry, I won't. Also, do me a favor, hold this bag. Sure. All right, gotta go. Remember guys, don't rob banks. Okay, so will versus going to. I'm going to make this very simple for you guys. There are two situations in which we would use will and two situations in which we would use going to. We use will when talking about instant decisions. You know, when you're on vacation or you're traveling, I think I will get something to eat now. The second situation in which we use will is when interacting with other people, and that means offering something, making a promise, or threatening them. Now, with going to, we use it when we're talking about a plan we have. We've thought about this plan beforehand, and we're telling someone about our plan. What are you doing tomorrow? I'm going to cook dinner, then watch Netflix. The second situation in which we would use going to is when we're making a prediction with very clear evidence. For example, there's a basketball game and the score is 70-0. In this situation, you can say, I think the team with 70 points is going to win. Also, remember that will is often shortened. Instead of saying I will, we usually say I'll. Instead of saying they will, we usually say they'll, she'll, he'll, you'll, like this. Okay, so let's go a little bit deeper into will. So making instant decisions, maybe you're at a festival or you're traveling or really any situation and you decide to just do something. There isn't a big plan or reason behind it. You just feel like doing it or you think it's a good idea. Let's look at an example. Hey John, are you hungry? What should we have for dinner? I'm not too hungry. I think I'll just have a small snack. You can see that John has made an instant decision. He hasn't made any plans about it. Let's look at another example. Dang, we're lost, and my phone is almost out of battery. Oh, I'll just go into a convenience store and ask for directions. So if you were to say, I'm going to the convenience store, it wouldn't sound natural because saying this means that you've thought about it in advance, which you clearly haven't. Okay, so the next situation in which we use will is when interacting with others. So maybe you're offering to do something for someone. In Korean, it's like 내가 해줄게. Here we will use will. Did I tell you? I'm moving from Seoul to Busan tomorrow. I'll help you if you need. That would be great. So saying something like this, I'll help you if you need, is an offer. We can't really say, I'm going to help you if you need. It sounds very weird. Okay, so that's offers. Next we have making promises. This is another form of interaction we have with someone else. Again, we will use will. Hey, do you promise not to tell the police about what I did? Of course, I won't tell anyone. Remember that won't is the shortened version of will not. Okay, so offers and promises are both interacting with other people. How about when making a threat? Well, that's definitely an interaction, right? In this case, we would also use will. Let's look at an example. Hey, what are you doing? Nothing. You better get out of here now or I'll call the cops. So these are all the situations in which we would use will instead of going to. Making instant decisions and interacting with others, which is just making offers, promises, and threats. Let's listen to the examples one more time for some more practice. Hey John, are you hungry? What should we have for dinner? I'm not too hungry. I think I'll just have a small snack. Dang, we're lost, and my phone is almost out of battery. Oh, I'll just go into a convenience store and ask for directions. Did I tell you? I'm moving from Seoul to Busan tomorrow. I'll help you if you need. That would be great. Hey, do you promise not to tell the police about what I did? Of course, I won't tell anyone. Hey, what are you doing? Nothing. You better get out of here now or I'll call the cops. Now let's move on to going to. We use going to when talking about plans we've made or making predictions with clear evidence. This is the opposite of will, right? Because will is used when making instant decisions. Let's look at how we use going to talk about plans. Hey Bob, are you busy tomorrow evening? Yeah, I'm going to go to the store tomorrow to buy some masks, tape, and bags. What do you need that stuff for? It's a secret, sorry. Here's another example. Next summer, I'm going to visit France and see the Eiffel Tower. What are your plans for next summer? Next summer, I'm going to take knitting class so I can make some bags. Now, let's move on to making predictions about something with clear evidence. Here's an example. Hey, how much do you think these diamonds are worth? I'm not sure, but I do know one thing. We're going to be rich. Here's another example. Man, there are police everywhere. We're going to get caught. Relax. Take a deep breath. Just go outside and start dancing like a crazy person. Let's listen to these examples one more time for some more practice. Hey Bob, are you busy tomorrow evening? Yeah, I'm going to go to the store tomorrow to buy some masks, tape, and bags. What do you need that stuff for? It's a secret, sorry. Next summer, I'm going to visit France and see the Eiffel Tower. What are your plans for next summer? Next summer, I'm going to take knitting class so I can make some bags. Hey, how much do you think these diamonds are worth? I'm not sure, but I do know one thing. We're going to be rich. Man, there are police everywhere. We're going to get caught. Relax. Take a deep breath. Just go outside and start dancing like a crazy person. Alright everyone, quiz time. 이것을 영어로 번역해보세요. 나 이제 숙제해야 되는데 너무 어려워. 내가 도와줄게. 네가 계속 그렇게 행동하면 너네 엄마한테 말할 거야. 저는 다음 주에 부산으로 가서 서빙을 할 거예요. 넌 도박을 너무 못해서 계속하면 돈을 다 잃을 거야. Also, in some cases, you can use both will and going to. For example, when making general predictions about the future. I think it will rain tomorrow. I think it's going to rain tomorrow. Above all, don't stress about using will and going to perfectly. Even if you use will and going to wrong, most of the time native speakers will understand what you're saying. Just watch this video with the mindset of gently fixing your bad habits and creating good habits. Now, let's watch the dialogue from the beginning one more time. Hey John, I found a great way to make money. Okay, great. Let me hear it. Robbing banks. I just robbed a bank an hour ago and I'm going to do it again tomorrow. Want to help me? I don't know. If we get caught, we'll go to jail. We're not going to get caught. All right, here's the plan. So you go outside of the bank, out front, and you start dancing like a crazy person. While you're doing that, I go in the back where the employees are, and I take the money, and then we both run away. Perfect, right? I don't think I can help you. My girlfriend said if I do anything stupid again, she'll leave me. Oh, really? All right, I understand. But please, don't tell anybody about my plan. Don't worry, I won't. Also, do me a favor. Hold this bag. Sure. All right, gotta go. All right, everybody, that's it for this video. Did you enjoy it? If so, please let me know in the comments down below. And remember, don't rob banks. It's not a nice thing to do. All right, everyone, I'm Sean, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.